Welcome back to the Silly Kitchen. Today I want to show you my newest favorite comfort food to have at home, cheeseburger casserole. I love a good cheeseburger. I love biting into a cheeseburger. But there is something so wonderful about this casserole. And I've seen a few versions of it. We are gonna do it my way, of course, because it's the Silly Kitchen, with a few really delicious ingredients. Now I've already diced up my pickles and my tomato. So what's left is onions, and we want to give it a nice dice. You kind of want all of your ingredients to be similar sizes. So a nice dice on your onions, your tomatoes, and your pickles should be all uniform. We are gonna try to make sure that we get the same kind of dice on our potatoes. I usually give them a nice little slice, lay them flat so it's easier to deal with, then give them little slices the long way, and then the opposite way for a nice little dice on the potato. The one thing I am gonna advise you to do is, I know it's easy to buy already shredded cheese at the store. However, when you are making a recipe that involves cheese that you want ooey gooey and melty, I'm gonna tell you, shred your own cheese. There are components in those bags of already shredded cheese that don't make the cheese as melty as it could be. They're dusted with some other things. So shred your own cheese, it's easy. So just to go over the ingredient list before we start cooking, about 4 medium potatoes cubed up and diced up, 1 medium onion, as many pickles as you want. I used 4, a small tomato, and as much cheese as you want. Of course, we also need ground beef. So let's get started. There is an order to the way we build this casserole for specific reasons. So follow with me step by step as we head over to the stovetop to start cooking. The first thing we need to do is brown our ground beef. So let's start there. Once your beef is mostly browned, you can start layering in our casserole ingredients. Now, like I said, there is a reason we're doing this in a specific order. So first thing we're gonna do is add in the onions. Give them a little mix, because now the onions are gonna sweat into the flavor of the beef. And if you have a little bit of that fat from your beef cooking out, you can get rid of it. I'm using lean ground beef, so I'm keeping some of that fat in there because the next item we want to add in is those diced potatoes. And yes, they are raw potatoes. So that's why we're adding them in while there's lots of moisture in the pan. Give that a little stir. The reason we're doing it in this order is because I want these potatoes to soak up all of that moisture in the pan and all of that flavor. So I'm also going to cover my pan to keep all that steam in there to cook the potatoes through. Uncover your pan every once in a while to give this a bit of a stir. You do want to occasionally mix it up so that we get an even cook on all of the potatoes and onions that are in here. After about 15 minutes of cooking and stirring, we want to go ahead and start seasoning this. Now, pepper goes in, as much or as little as you want to season your potatoes and meat here. And salt would be the next option, but I'm actually going to use seasoning salt this time because I like the flavor and the color that it adds. Feel free to use regular salt if you'd like. Another stir to get all that seasoning into our dish. Once again, give it a cover for another 5 minutes or so. After those 5 minutes, we uncover one more time And this is where we add in our small tomato and all of those beautiful pickles. Mix it around just to make sure that everything is even. We are almost done here. Those flavors have all come together. This is your opportunity now to give it one last mix and taste it to see if it needs any more salt, pepper, any other seasoning that you might want to add in here. If you are happy with it, go around the pan and give it a little flattening out. Get all those little pieces on the edges as much as you can. Because we are making cheeseburger casserole, we need the cheese. So remember all that beautiful shredded cheese that we did earlier? This is your time to now layer it in. I like to make sure that my entire pan has cheese on it, so measure accordingly. And then when you're done measuring, add more cheese. Cheese is my favorite. You have two options here. You can go ahead and leave it on low heat and cover it, and slowly you will see that cheese melt away as we keep the heat under the pan. Your other option is put it in the oven uncovered and let the cheese melt that way. Two options, both work well. Either way, we're gonna be having cheeseburger casserole in a few minutes. The cheese is melted, the casserole is done and ready to serve. Look at all that ooey gooey cheese and potatoes and pickles and tomatoes and beef. This is cheeseburger on a fork. I love the versatility of this dish being a casserole and having leftovers and all that cheesy gooey gooiness and a load of pickles. I love pickles, so I mean, use as much or as little as you want in your recipe when you try this, but I think this one turned out perfect. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is dressing this casserole. When you make your burger, you usually use mustard, ketchup, mayo, maybe some other sauces that you love. Do the same thing for the casserole. I like it the way it is, but you do you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Silly Kitchen. Enjoy, and I hope to see you back here soon.